Hi guys, so we're looking at Tau bases today for Aeronautica Imperialis. So we've got our Tau flyer, which is all painted up, cool, and there will be a video on how to do this. But the base is grey plastic, and grey plastic I'm not the biggest fan of. Let's paint it up, okay? So, first thing we need to do is take our flyer off and put it safely to the side, along with our others. We have the base. Now this is how they come, and if you're like me and have stuck this in, then obviously that's not the best in the world, but you can pry them apart. So I've got a little scraping tool, and what I'm going to do, I'm going in near the connections, so this is near where the actual wires are. I'm just prising ever so gently, okay, both sides, and it will eventually come. Yeah, don't worry about sort of damaging it. If you're gentle at this stage, there we go, so there's the first bit. If you're gentle with this bit, it will pry apart. You know, just give it a gentle sort of prying. Keep going side to side, and eventually it'll come apart. You know, it's just one of those that we need to. There we go. The second one and the third one. Go back in that side. Just trying not to damage the base, obviously, but we still want it to come apart. So there we go. So there's a bottom plate. We'll put that aside. The reason we're prying it apart is because these two altitude and speed wheels, we don't want to get paint on them, yeah, so they need to go aside completely, yeah. So then we need to prime these two aspects, that's fine, but this obviously we've got a clear flight stand on there. So little tip for you, masking is really handy in all aspects of the hobby. This is just masking tape, so flat to the bottom. And then just work your way up it. An angle. Doesn't need to be pretty, you know. It just needs to stop the paint getting on it. Yeah? And over the top and down. So it not only gives us protection from spray, also gives us a handle to use when we're actually painting the base up as well. Okay, so that's the first stage. What we're going to do, I'm going to go away, I'm going to give it a blast of Chaos Black Spray, and then we'll come back for the first stages. There we go, so we're all Chaos Blacked. So what we're going to do now, the idea that I have with these is to do almost like a blue radar effect. I'm going to move this side and put some graphic here. So with the blue radar effects, I want to do it sort of like quite a dark rim, so I don't see towers having metal, I see them as having like a plasteel sort of another more advanced technology. And then in here I plan on doing like a radar effect on them, and then gold obviously just to pick out the actual Aeronautica symbol, things like that, sort of tie it into the collection. So the first thing I'm going to do, both aspects, we're going to give it a dry brush of Mechanica Standard Grey. So let's shake the paint up. Let's get a little bit of cloth in. Okay, so dry brushing, just get a bit on the end of your brush. And then just work it in. Work into the bristles, yeah? And then literally go across, rotating the base around, and it'll pick up those edges. Okay, we're going to go quite heavy on the dry brush, and I'll explain why in a bit, okay? Not so much around the edges, maybe just those aspects there. And then on the base itself, just here, because that's a bit that's going to be visible. Yeah? So, after we've done that aspect, we're going to go one higher, and the way we're going to do that, guys, is we're going to come in with our Corax White. Corax White seems to be a paint that really needs to give a really good shake to. So, let's see. I'm going straight in. Okay. I'm going straight in, and I'm using the same area of here, okay, to brush it in, because it'll also sort of slightly mix it. It's giving me a light grey. And then same again, around there with a lighter touch, so to speak. You see with dry brushing, I'm going against the edge. It's the easiest thing in the world, dry brushing, it really is. There we go. That's the first stage. These areas here. Yeah, those two there. Give them a little tickle. So there we go. So that's dry brushing done. We're going to leave that to dry and then we'll come back in and we're going to pick out the other details that we're going to add to it. Okay, so I'll come back to you. Okay, so what we're going to do is base for the radar. We want the actual base darker. So these sort of areas here, I want them to be, it's going to be a blue radar effect. So I want these to be quite a dark blue. The way I'm going to do that is I'm now going to go over with Calazar Sky, which is the base colour I'm using for my actual Tau Air Caste. So what I'm going to do, we're going to bring in our trusty palette. I've been doing some other projects on, as you can see. A bit on the base, a bit on the palette, a bit of water in there, okay? Okay, I'm twisting the brush as well, guys, to give me that sort of point. And all I'm doing is really, really quite simple at this stage. I'm going all the way over all of these areas inside, okay? I want it to be quite dark as a finish. So I'm going all the way, one coat of Calazar Sky. Okay. I'm not too fussed for going in the internal bits, so like the sort of divots and ruts, so to speak. But if you do get it in, it doesn't matter. Okay. This one as well. Now around here, with the little triangle thing. There we go. I'm going to do these sort of raised areas, all in the same gold effect I've done on my other bases, and that'll be sort of, you know, no matter what comes out from Imperialis and whatever it is that we're painting, that'll be the same, because it just ties your collection together, and it's also easy for your opponent, you know, it's fairly obvious which way ship's going, but, you know, it's just, I think it's a bit more sort of gentlemanly in a game to make it highlighted for your opponent, you know, we want to win because, or at least have fun because we're playing correctly, not because we're pulling some grand illusion or whatever it is. Okay, so same here, I'm starting at the edge, I'm just going along. Now, in a bit of a difference for the Tau bases, I'm going to do the backwards arc blue as well. I did it sort of a different colour on my other flyers, but it was more to sort of identify tailing and things like that. And really, because, you know, if you're Imperial and they're behind you, you're in bother, whereas Tau can sort of fire around corners, can't they? Let's be honest. So, here, this is going to be slightly more difficult. Okay, we just take our time and just make sure we're going around it. The key here is not to get it on the trim more than anything, okay? The A itself we're not too bothered about because that's going to be gold, okay? Up to the edges, little bits there, just little dabs in there, for example, just to give it the sort of blue feel. I'm not too fussed it's going on the A. Okay. From the outside in, I'll give it a second coat. There we go. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to come in with our Retributor armour and pick out those things on top. And these panels here, I'm going to leave those black. Okay, because I really want the radar thing to pop. So Retributor armour, give that a bit more of a shake. There we go. Onto our palette. And again, tiny bit of water, guys. You can use thinning agents and things like that, but I have to admit the water has always been my sort of preference. It's free. And just across the top of these, okay. Might take a couple of coats again, but hey, it does take your time. Coming in the other side. And the 3 diagonals. Okay. And the top of the aeronautic symbol, so you can use the flat of your brush, things like this, and it'll only touch the top surface. Okay, so I'm going all along there. And that's the side, yeah. Easy as that, it really is long. There we go. So let's have a look at our gold. Do we need to go over perhaps over that, because you can see a few lines in it, yeah. So, do you ever see lines in your paintwork, guys? We just go over it again in like another direction. That seems sort of like mats it out, if that makes sense. There we go. So that's the base done. The base coat, should we say, not the base itself. So we're going to leave that thoroughly dry, then we're going to apply some washes, and then we'll come back to do the radar effect. Okay, so the base coat is now dry, and we're going to add our dark tone to it. So we're going to give it a shade down, basically. Let's give it a good shake. Bit onto your palette or tile or whatever it is you're using. We're not going to touch this aspect, we're just going to use this, and we're going to go over the whole thing, okay? And it is as easy as that. And what that's going to do is give us that dark undertone. So if you look at a radar display, they have like a dark sort of base to them. And then once that's thoroughly dry, we'll come in and do our radar effect. So for thoroughly dry, I'm going to leave this overnight. You know, we don't have many sunny days here in the UK. If you're in a different part of the world and you can dry it off quicker, all the best. But literally with dark tone, it is just, I'm doing the whole thing, okay, the whole top aspect of the base, and it'll shade everything together for us really, really nicely. So there we go. So I'm going to leave that to dry. A bit of pooling there, which will just move about. I'll leave that to dry, and then that's a really good base to do our sort of radar effect on. Okay, when it's thoroughly dry, we'll come back and we'll do a bit of masking and a bit of cool radar effects. Okay, so 24 hours has passed and this is really now dry. And hey, you could game with that, couldn't you? That, you know, it's better than a grey plastic base. But I want to do a cool radar effect. So what I'm going to do, put those to the side because we don't need to do any more to them. I'm going to use one of these lines here as the edge of my radar. Okay, and I'm going to take a bit of tape, just a bit of mask. The reason I let the base dry thoroughly, guys, is because I want to adhere this to the base and not have to worry about it stripping the paint. Okay, so that's the first stage. I'm now going to come in with some blue. So the first thing I'm going to do is go in with my Caldor Sky again. Okay, get a bit of it on my palette. Don't need a great deal of paint here for this, guys. It's just a, you know, bit of water. And the effect we're looking for on the radar, it is relatively quite simple. We're going to start at the top and we're going to go out. Okay? And it's going to be wider at the top than it is at the bottom. And to do that effect, we're going to go yeah. And we're going to expand it across this aspect as well. So I'm going to go out to about sort of 4.5. Because I want to have the effect that the radar's sweeping. See what they're doing to, they go around in a circle, so to speak. So see that aspect there. There we go. So we're getting that sort of like radar sweep effect going across the miniature. And it's alright to have the brush lines there because it adds to the effect that it's going in a direction. Okay, we're now going to come in with a lighter blue. And I've got Hoeth blue, Hoeth blue, Hoeth blue. Elfie fantasy blue. And we're gonna, so obviously this is far lighter, yeah. We're gonna mix it into our original colour, sort of 50-50. And we're gonna work to the top again. But we're not gonna go as far. And on this side, we're just gonna go a little bit of the way. Okay, just to give it that effect that it's sort of sweeping. That's it. Now radars, they have sort of like a line along here, but obviously we need to let that blue dry. So while we do that, we can actually look at some of the other aspects of the base, what we want to do with it. Obviously we'll go around the outsides with Corvus Black to neaten that up nicely, and we're going to do some sort of blips on there and then something with the metal. So while we now still have our mask on there, we're going to come in with Corax White. Okay, and all we're going to do here, you know, this is a real sort of take your time on this bit. It can be difficult. We're going to go as close to that line as we can. In that recess. Yeah. Pull it off. There we go, that's a radar line. Okay, so that tape can now go. And we can work on other aspects of the base while that's drying. Okay, so obviously we've not quite finished that yet. We're going to probably go back and give that, there is that sort of white line on there, guys. It's just a bit more difficult to see on camera. Okay, so what we're going to do is maybe give it a couple of blips, things like that. And the way we do blips is really easy. I'm using moot green. Any alternate colour, like even like a pink or a purple would look pretty cool. We're going to give it just a dab, really. It's like there's a bogey over there, so to speak. So let's just give it a dab. Can be one, and maybe there'll be one here as well. Yeah, a couple of dabs. That's it. Okay. While that's drying, because we'll put white dots in the middle of there to really sort of make it pop, we're going to look at the metal. Now with the gold, I'm coming straight in with Stormhost Silver. Okay, with gold, use silver to highlight it. It just works. There's no sort of other way of putting it. And I'm going to be quite bold with this. I'm going to straight down the middle there. I'm going to go across the top here. In the middle there. Because these are my Tau, I want them to look very different to the Imperials I've done. There we go. So from a distance, obviously you've got metallic gold. And we're now at the stage where as that's drying, we can actually sort of assemble it again if we wanted to. But what I would suggest now is going on the outside in Corvus Black. Now, Corvus Black is like an off black, it's like a grey black. And those that watch the channel know I use it quite a lot because it doesn't give you that definitive black tone. It's more of a natural black, okay? And we're going around the edges of the base. Just to neaten it up. Yeah, really is as easy as that. On this side as well. Long, nice long streaks. I'm going along the whole thing. Yeah, there we go. Obviously this aspect here, we've got these bits here, which we will actually just give them a tickle, just a corvus. Don't mind a little bit showing through, because it's obviously supposed to represent the sort of dry brushed effect on top of the base. Okay, so that's the black done. There's a couple of extra things to do here, but we're well on our way to a pretty cool looking base. Okay, we're going to use, and I've just picked it up by the outside and that. We're going to use Corex White again. Give it a good shake. I really need one of those shaking machines. I've seen one somewhere, and I think I need to sort of look into it. And all we're going to do here is, with a real sort of dot, we're just going to put a dot in the middle here. There you go, blips. Yeah. Enemy ahead. Oh, how did the Tau go? Oh, I don't know how they speak. With a little slit mouth, don't they? I imagine they sort of like that Muppet that's sort of brr, 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 brr. Well, you know, anyway. And we're getting there, yeah? Very much getting there. Now on there, you could try and sort of define that line a bit more. Now this is a bit more complicated. It's a bit more sort of difficult painting, but let's see. Yeah. With that, it gives it the effect on it from the distance, a bit more of an effect to it. Okay, so that's coming along now really nicely. So we're going to actually assemble a base now. So we've got dials, we've got an altitude at the side, which is the smaller numbers, and they're going to click in from beneath. Guys, when you put them back together, make sure the numbers are up. I've done it before and put them in the wrong way. And yeah, the bases come apart, but we don't want to be messing around too much with them, do we? And we're going to line it up, and we're going to give it, yeah, sort of a forceful clicking in. There we go. Check our dials work. Yeah, speed, altitude. So the tape now is actually at the point where you can remove it. You shouldn't really have issues. This is going to be the bit of this video that I struggle with the most, isn't it? Let's have a look. So masking's great because it does protect your base or any area you don't want paint on, you know. And hey, masking chips are quite cheap if you buy it from the likes of Wilko's in the UK or any sort of cheaper homeware store. You know, we don't have to spend a great deal of money on these things, and there's lots of things you can get. And as we predicted, this is proving a difficulty. There's lots of things you can get, guys, in hardware stores, home stores, things like that, that will make hobbying easier. Oh wow, he says making hobby easier. Let's see if I can find the end. No, we'll come back to that in a second. So all we're going to do, what was the idea is we're leaving this top to dry because then we're going to give it a varnish. Okay, so I will now try and get this off and come back to you. Victory! We've got it off, just about. So, and any excess like that, guys, just sort of rubs off. So, okay, so we're pretty much there with this now. But what I'm going to do, I'll come in with just some gloss varnish. Give it a shake. A little bit on the palette, so we know where we're getting it from. And we're going to come in and gloss these blue surfaces. Okay, it just makes it shine, just gives it more of an effect. Okay, on that side. Down the front. Try not to get it on the metal, no matter if we do. There we go. Just makes it look more like a display, really, more than a flat aspect. It just makes it naturally shine. And we're also going to do it around the Aeronautica symbol at the back of the base. Okay, it just, again, it just makes it pop. That's all it is, makes it pop. Okay. Down the side there, in that aspect there, done. There we go. So, one Tau radar base. And if you think that's obviously still drying, well, I don't just do one thing at a time. I do a fair few. So as if by magic, there's one we did earlier. So it just makes the models pop. Yeah, it just makes them look cool. That's all it is. It's another one of my Tau flyers here. So yeah, it just makes them cool. Gives them a bit of a standout. So there we go. Thank you for watching. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you picked up a few tips. Share what you're doing. You know, share your Aeronautica. I'm really liking this game. There's going to be painting guides for both of these type things coming out soon. And then hopefully actually get some games in of it, because it seems like a really, really good game. But as always, guys, thank you for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe, and stay tuned for more Aeronautica soon. Happy hobbying.